Have you ever noticed that as a student, when things are not going well, whether it's low grades or past rejections, most people that are around you, whether it's family, your advisors and whatnot, tell you to have a backup plan? Have you ever thought of having a backup plan? Have you ever been told to have a backup plan? And that's what we want to talk about today. And I want to help you understand why backup plans are recommended, especially if you're interested in becoming a physical therapist. Let's talk about, why do your parents want you to have a backup plan? Why do your advisors want you to have a backup plan? Why do the physical therapists you might be shadowing or working with, why do they want you to have a backup plan? And is it a good idea, or is it hurting your chances of ever realizing your dream of becoming a physical therapist? That's what we're going to talk about here. And so the goal of this one is to help you figure out backup plans. And after this training, I promise you're going to be in a much, much more confident position and in a better place to be well on your way to becoming a doctor of physical therapy in the future. Is that cool? Now, before I dive further, my name is Dr. Joseph Gugi. I am a physical therapist and one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, where for years we've helped students get accepted into physical therapy school with a 92% first-time acceptance rate and without wasting time or money. We spent a lot of time really understanding the psychology of how schools accept you or reject students, and more importantly, how to make you the best possible applicant you can be, because the first wall we got to get through is getting through the school so that you can get into your dream career. And of course, if you enjoy this, please be sure to like, subscribe, share this out with whoever you feel might benefit from this training. And of course, just keep binging. We have tons, thousands of pieces of content that you can binge. Just binge on them, absorb as much as possible. And then of course, if you would like us to guide you, just go to acceptanceguides.com and we have a resource that'll get you started right now and get you massively closer to where you need to be. Let's dive in. Backup plans. So the first thing that I would love to dive into is, because, and I see this a lot, because we have a number of students that we work with who are coming from either past rejections. We've had students who have had as many as 4 previous PT school rejections where they've applied 4 years in a row. That's a lot of time. That's literally the time it takes for you to get through college. We've had students who have had very low GPAs. And when I say very low GPAs, I'm talking 2.4, 2.3, 2.5, 2.6. GPAs that most people would consider, I don't think you'll ever be a good enough applicant. And so what typically happens is when we have those challenges, those struggles, those roadblocks, most people really lean on a backup plan. Basically, I'm preparing for the worst case scenario. If I don't get accepted, if my grades don't improve, if I'm not good enough, if I'm not competitive enough, then I will have a backup plan. Are you following? And part of it is we've been told that backup plans are smart, right? Isn't it smart to prepare for the worst? Isn't it smart to just prepare for reality? I hate that word, reality, because realistic typically means that, just from what I've seen, realistic typically means that I am doing activities out of my limited understanding and my fears. So when I say something is not realistic, it might mean that I don't know enough, or I don't know enough about how to make it realistic. Does that make sense? So if I feel like something is impossible, I feel like a lot of us really slap on that word. That's not realistic. It's not realistic to get into PT school with a low GPA. It's not realistic to get accepted if you've been rejected 2 or 3 plus years in a row. You following? So if I'm slapping that word, it's not realistic, then that means I have believed, I've leaned into, or I've given into my limited view. It's like I only know so much. I can only see so much. And based off of what I can see, based off what I know, I have created this conclusion that it's impossible, right? And that's where most people quit. Now, what if I told you, though, that there have been students that have gotten into PT school after GPAs as low as a 2.4? Does that start to poke that word realistic, right? Maybe now your definition of realistic starts to broaden a little bit. What if I told you there's students that have gotten into school after 4 years of getting rejection letters, and then they switched certain things in their application, and then they went on to get multiple acceptance letters the next time they applied? Does that start to open up your perspective on what's possible? You see what I'm saying? So a big part of it is just how limited our viewpoint is, and that's where most people stay stuck. Does that make sense? And one of the things that I notice is when we are being told to have a backup plan, we're usually being told that by someone that doesn't know how to guide us when things don't work out, right? The reason why your mom or dad might say, have a backup plan, is because if you get rejected, they don't know what else to tell you. And it's not bad, by the way. This is just, I want you to have an understanding of what's actually going on so that you can feel empowered to make the decision that best serves your dream. Does that make sense? So if my parent is saying have a backup plan, they don't know how to help me when I hit a wall, when I get stuck, when my GPA is too low. They can't take the test for me. If I get rejected, they're like, I don't know, maybe it's not meant to be. Have you ever heard that before? Maybe it's not meant to be. Oh man. If my advisor tells me to have a backup plan, you have to understand something. So most of your advisors have never been physical therapists before. So they've never been down the path that you're on. So that they've never actually done it. Most advisors are given a list of things, like a checklist, right? By the school, by the university, by the college. And they're basically saying, oh, did you do all these things on the checklist? And I can't tell you how many times a student will say, yeah, I had this game plan with my advisor. And then by the time I graduated, I still had three prerequisite classes that I never did because we didn't plan for it. Or the advisor will see 1 or 2 semesters of having lower grades and say, you might want to pick a different career. And here's why this is important to understand, is because if my advisor has never been a physical therapist, then my advisor doesn't understand why I'm fighting for my career, my dream career so hard. Does that make sense? So you want to be a physical therapist. You're fighting hard for this. Like, you want this badly. You have to realize that your advisors never wanted that. At least most advisors have never been in your shoes, meaning that to them, it's just a career option. And maybe they've actually had a backup career. Maybe to them, a career is just whatever pays the bills, right? And if that's how you want to operate, if you want a career that just pays the bills, then yes, pick whatever pays the most. It's fine. However, if you want to be fulfilled, if you want something that maybe sometimes doesn't even feel like a job, then you want to align yourself with the calling that you have. You want to align yourself with the career that you feel fulfills that. And if it's physical therapy, then you have to ask yourself, am I willing to give in to the limited knowledge and fears of my advisors, my family members, so that I can give up on the career that I believe will fulfill me? You with me? And so that's why this whole backup option thing is so all over the place. Backup options are, let me just say it like this. Backup options aren't as smart as you think they are. Because once you understand what they are, then you'll realize that it's just an escape pod. It's just a way out if I have no other way left. It's just, if I feel closed in, if I feel like there's no other moves, then, oh, at least I have this escape. However, what if there was always another move? Then the question is, do I actually need the escape pod? And if I do use the escape pod, aka having a backup plan, backup career, backup option, will that fulfill what I desire? Will that fulfill what I want to do? Will that fulfill how I want to serve people? Will it? And that's the biggest piece. And so that's where I'm like, you just have to decide. Is it worth me having an unfulfilled career? And just maybe I just want to start a career. I just want to start getting paid. PT didn't work out. Oh, I didn't feel smart enough. Let me pick something else. You can make that choice. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to give up on your dream. And the reason why is because there's always another move. Your parents just don't know what that other move is. Your advisor just doesn't know what that other move is. Some of the physical therapists you've shadowed or worked with don't know what that other move is because maybe they had a 4.0, maybe they had a 3.9, maybe their path was different. And if you have a 2.4, if you have a 2.6, if you have a 2.9, if you've been rejected before, if you have challenges with standardized exams, okay, cool. Like, the question we have to ask is, so what have other students that have been in your position done differently to stand out to PT schools? What have other students that have been in your position done differently to improve their grades? We've seen it. And if you followed our channel long enough, you've heard the stories we've shared. Students that have had the 2.4 GPA getting accepted into multiple schools. Students, the stories are so endless. And at this point, with how long we've done this, there's hundreds and hundreds of stories, especially with, let's just pick the category of low GPAs. There's hundreds and hundreds of students that have been in your shoes and have figured it out. And they did not do it by guessing. They also did not do it by having a backup career option. And the last piece about backup options is this. Backup options are a waste of energy, right? Imagine for a moment that you go sit in your car, and it's not an electric car, it's not a Tesla or something like that, but you go and sit in your car and you turn on the car and then you just start revving the engine, but it's still, you have one foot on the brake and then you're on the accelerator, just revving the engine, not going anywhere. What are you doing? You're not going anywhere. You're basically really just like destroying the car in a way. And when we have backup options, we are wasting potential energy that we could use. We are wasting momentum that we could use on figuring out the right way to get better grades, the right way to become a stronger applicant. And now you end up holding yourself back, which is why a lot of us just feel, oh, it's impossible. So we end up quitting, right? Because it feels overwhelming. However, what if I use all of my energy, all of my focus on figuring out where is the solution? What have other people like me done? How can I get guidance? Who has done this before? who has helped tons of students like this before, who has seen my situation before, to the point where they will never advise me to have a backup career because they understand how badly I want to become a physical therapist. They understand how aligned this career feels with everything that I desire. Does that make sense? And that's the biggest shift that takes place. Once you find someone that has matched that, and if that's us, great. If it's not us, once you find someone that can show you that, then you'll realize there's always a next move. Every single time, there's always another move. There's always another move. There's always another move. I don't care if it's low grades. I don't care if you feel like you struggle with test taking. I don't care if you have dyslexia, if you have ADD, if you've been told you're not smart. If this is the career that you feel aligned with, if this is the career that you have been called to be in, if you've been called to serve human beings as a future physical therapist, or even animals, because there's physical therapists that work with dogs and whatnot. But if you've been called to serve through the field of physical therapy, then having a backup option, number one, is a waste of energy. And number two, it just means that you're not allowing yourself to see what's actually possible, and you're not allowing yourself to ask better questions equal better answers. Better questions look like what I said before. What have other people like me done, and how did they do it? And then what it does, it unlocks this part of your brain that starts to think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. If they can do it, why not me? Does that make sense? And that's how I feel about backup careers. That's how I feel about backup options, at least. And we've seen some beautiful experiences with students. And don't let the fears of those around you hold you back. And it's not that people don't love you. It's not that your parents don't love you. They just don't know how to help you when things go bad. And that's it. However, that doesn't mean that there isn't a way out. There's always another step. And if you don't know where to start, go to this link, www.acceptanceguides.com. Acceptanceguides.com. Go to that link, share that link with as many other students that need this, as many other pre-physical therapy students that you know. And then, of course, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, all the different things. And you know what? I would actually love to know, like, now that you've listened to this episode, let me know in the comments below, what did this episode say to you? I would love to know that, and I'll come back and I'll read them. However, I would love to know. Let me know in the comments below, what did this episode say to you? Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a blessed one. See you guys. Bye.